escalating to the top where, it's not an argument. Now it's an argument when it's not an argument. So you don't want to argue about that. That's a lot, right? So at the same time, it's not going to change them or the person that you're having an opposition with. And that makes me overwhelmed. Because first of all, I don't like getting in a confrontation with anybody in a negative sense. Like, I'm working on not trying to give so much negative energy to people, but some people, it's like you be asking for it because you steady nagging away at the situation instead of really looking at the situation like, where is this person coming from and different things like that. And that's overwhelming after a series of times over and over and over, especially when you had a conversation when it was calm, cool, and collected, and you had a chance to say what you really needed to say in that manner. So we forget that in the heat of the moment. Excuse me, I have to take a sip on that. So, that's probably good, y'all. That's the tea I was on. I'm not, apologizing for the part I played in because I tried. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. Maybe some things were wrong. Maybe it went wrong. I didn't know where I was coming off or whatever, but I kind of do know. And my intentions were not to make another person provoked to be disrespectful to me. And I respect myself 100%. It's just with some people, it's just not going to work. And, it's kind of like those narc activities where those tendencies where, someone cannot understand where you're coming from and they're not trying to deal with that because they don't like being confronted. And so there you go. And that's what I was talking about in previous shows, to watch out for signs that this may be happening. They're a great person or whatever, but that disorder is going to destroy a lot of relationships because they don't understand that yelling and screaming at somebody is not going to get a person to change their behavior. And it's a way to correct those mistakes that you think people make. So, is it difficult under even the most benign conditions to change people's minds? So why make it harder? Why handicap yourself? If you're going to prove anything, don't let anybody know it. Do it so subtly, so adroitly, that no one will feel that you are doing it. This was expressed succinctly by Alexander Pope. Men must be taught as if you taught them not, and things unknown proposed as things for God. Over 300 years ago, Galileo said, "You cannot teach a man anything. You can only help him find it within himself." As Lord Chesterfield said to his son, "Be wiser than other people if you can, but do not tell them so." Socrates said repeatedly to his followers in Athens, "One thing only I know, and that is that I know nothing." Well, I can't hope to be any smarter than Socrates, so I have quit telling people they are wrong. And I find that it pays. If a person makes a statement that you think is wrong, yes, even that you know is wrong, isn't it better to begin by saying, "Well, now look, I thought otherwise, but I may be wrong. I frequently am. And if I am wrong, I want to be put right. Let's examine the facts." That's it, guys. Let's examine the facts. Now, based on attitude, it is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures and successes, than what other people think or say or do. So with that in mind, I'm not overwhelmed anymore. I cannot change the past. It's more important than facts. And the fact is that they're there. And it is what it is. But never put yourself in a position ever to let anybody take you out of your character. Because that way, if you don't want to be controlled or programmed by what other people think or say or do, you have to hold yourself accountable and say, look, I'm not even going to play this game because I know that it's a game. And since I know that it is a game and people are not being upfront about how they really feel and want to talk to a person with respect and show some concern, because narcs do not understand that whatsoever. You can say whatever, you can get mad all you want, but at the end of the day, if you don't have empathy for other people, you have a tendency. When you deliberately be disrespectful and you're not being disrespectful, that's a tendency that you don't need to have. But let it go. Don't count on it. Don't think it's you. It's not your fault. But at the end of the day, if it is, hold yourself accountable to learn from the mistake and do it right the next time. But always put yourself first in the mistake. And that's what I forgot, to examine the facts. The fact is, I know this is all a game to get me off the top of my game. But it can't, because I know it's a game. And I play to win. And if I let things affect me to the point where I can't get nothing done, then they won. So when you have an opposition or feeling overwhelmed with somebody, there are some tips. And I did find it on RayHigdon.com. How to stop being overwhelmed. So, on that note, quote for the day. Know something any great leader in history never did? They never complained about being overwhelmed. Somehow we have allowed this to be acceptable in society. And so this post will help you with being overwhelmed, but also with how to stop using language that doesn't serve you. Why you should never complain about being overwhelmed. Telling people you are overwhelmed does not serve you, so why say it? Here is the reality, and you can see a video around the idea on my blog post about making money. But most people just sit and stare at their results in life and complain and say they need more money, etc. When it is really your habits that have caused the results in your life. However, do you know what caused your habits? Your mindset. And do you know what caused your mindset? Your vocabulary. So, you see, complaining about being overwhelmed will set your mindset in a certain way that will dictate your habits and then your results to justify the fact that indeed you are overwhelmed. Overwhelmed people are unable to get good results. How many just thought of other areas in life where you might use non-serving language? What that language and what comes out of your mouth, it literally is forming your experience and your results. I said that before it said that. That's crazy. So we all on one accord here. Great. All right. Changing all of your results by using your tongue. I believe that it is not the actual being overwhelmed that is the worst. It's the constant saying that you are that is. Stop saying non-serving statements and declarations. Understand that you never hear a great leader moan and whine about being overwhelmed. So why should you? This may sound a little harsh, but geez Louise, someone has to say it. So the very, very first step in no longer being overwhelmed is to stop saying it. Do you know what overwhelmed really comes from? It comes from the competitive mindset. When you are on the creative plane, you don't need to think this way. Let me pull some of my content from my Get Rich Blueprint MP3 series. Check it out. Week 13, Picking the Right Business. Quote, when you get out of the competitive mind, you will understand that you never need to act hastily. No one else is going to beat you to the thing you want to do. There is enough for all. If one space is taken, another, and a better one will be open for you a little farther on. There is plenty of time, end quote. So, the fact that you missed one email or webinar is not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Okay, so you stopped saying it. How to be more productive. I'm going to take your word that you are vowing never to use such weak, non-serving words and discuss you being overwhelmed, so now I can offer you the ultimate solution to stop the overwhelm and start moving into super production. This is the key word: routine. Your daily routine will crush any overwhelm and can make or break all of your results. I have a few blog posts on the daily routine, but the easiest way to download the latest is to enter your name and email at the upper right hand corner of this post and just read my routine and start implementing it in your life and smack overwhelm in the face once and for all. Here's to you using only powerful, serving vocabulary from here on out. If you enjoy this post, please comment and share if you want more content like this. Ray Higdon, Skype ray.higdon, and email is raylhigdon@rayhigdon.com. All right, that was awesome. That was really good. So I'm done saying it. And so yeah, I've been fighting with getting a schedule together and a routine going. Because you do the same routine for many, many years and it does work, but then it doesn't work. And you're so used to doing it because you're comfortable. Sometimes you have to step out of a routine and create another one because you're moving to a next level as far as, being a leader. There's a lot of levels to this, and sometimes it's hard to get from one thing to the next. But just like I said, don't count on it. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't say that again. Don't talk like that. It's all about what you're saying to yourself and also your attitude. And that's what comes out when you're directing yourself or talking and communicating with people. And I think the biggest problem in our society today is that we don't communicate well. We don't get our point across well. We don't want to take out the time to listen. A lot of us listen to respond. Because everybody has a point of view. Everybody has something to say. Everybody got a way of thinking. Everybody does. That's great. And that's special and that's wonderful. But everybody's not going to understand where you're coming from with a certain kind of attitude. Because there's some things that people are going to accept. And some things that people are not going to accept. And you have to be willing as a leader to step up and say, okay, I do need to back off. I do need to act accordingly because consequences happen. Now, your confrontation may be with someone you love or, a spouse or whatever, and you don't want to do anything to hurt them, but you do get angry at them and you don't always agree. But what if you're having a confrontation with a stranger? Because nowadays people are crazy. They will blow your brains out. I heard this story. It was sad. This guy and this girl were dating. They had a baby. Make a long story short, the dads went to jail, and he was serving time for some little gun crime or something, and then he got out. Make a long story short, because there was a lot more to this. She was in front of a gas station trying to get her a soda, and he walked up to her and just shot her 7 times. Because of something she said. The last argument they had, he just went crazy. Like, you just can't, you really have to watch what you say. You really have to have good posture. You really can't come off, because everybody's not going to accept that you have a smart mouth. Everybody's not going to accept that you are rude and you're disrespectful and you don't care. That's why we have a lot of crime that we do and opposition that we do and people arguing and stuff, because we don't listen, man. And I'm to blame just like anybody else.